and welcome to week 1 of our learning together. I hope you'll enjoy this course and you'll learn many strategies to support your students through all of the content areas. I'm always available for questions through email, or we can set up individual Zoom calls together so that we can collaborate on projects or assignments, or just collaborate on the information presented each week. This is a self-paced course, so you have the opportunity to truly engage in the work in any way that is meaningful to you. One of the questions that is typically on everyone's mind as we engage in our learning, especially in week 1, is what is a reading response learning journal? And really, if you think about it, a lot of the brain-based research really talks about students taking the time to really engage with the text and take notes and maybe create questions and stop and jot as they're engaging in the learning process. And sometimes this is difficult for students, especially when it's in such an open-ended platform, because you can really create your reading response learning journal to look any way that's meaningful to you. So many people will take notes in the text, and then they'll synthesize in writing a brief narrative of a couple paragraphs, and they'll post that to the discussion board. Or other students, we will engage with post-it notes, and they might reflect across a few pages, and they might actually put those in a notebook and then take a picture of them, and then synthesize with a paragraph, and they'll post that to the discussion board. So the idea is that you yourself engage with content knowledge and think about how a journal really helps you to be able to synthesize your thoughts and what that process might feel like for students who are in your classrooms. So we know that students in K-2, as they're engaging with informational text, they can flag interesting parts of a text, they can flag something beginning, middle, and end that they want to share with a partner, so that they can engage in oral conversations to engage in that work. And so, in one way, you're actually engaging in this work yourself. So it's really a reciprocal process between you and the text, and then you and peers in the classroom. So again, it's very open-ended. You can use questions and answers. You can use bulleted notes and points. Any way that you think that individuals will be able to connect with the information that you've read, and rather than just thinking of it as a place to record just information, even if you are a learner who records information, how do you synthesize that information? What do you do? What's a next step? So a lot of the conversation, especially in the rubrics, talks about before, during, and after our thinking process. So you'll notice that some people will engage in that process in thinking about, well, what did I know before I read the text? What was I thinking while I was, and what was I thinking after I read the text? And that's one way to go about it. It's perfectly acceptable. Or you might be a person that engages with the text a different way, and you might try some other strategies. So you'll want to be sure that you're reading, looking over people's notes and thinking about how they're engaging with the learning process. And then you want to leave questions for people, engage others in your conversation, right? So it's really supposed to be a place where you're interacting with the text, and then it's an ongoing conversation on the discussion board. So one of the things that you'll want to really avoid is you'll want to avoid things like, I thought your notes were really great. Although sometimes you'll notice that someone's notes are extremely organized and they're really helpful, it's okay to make those types of comments, but then you want to engage in some type of thinking that that particular learner was doing as they were engaging with the text, and you'll want to highlight that in your conversation. So it's very open-ended. A lot of times people are wondering, how am I doing with the reading response learning journal? I didn't get a grade every single week. So typically, after the first 2 or 3 weeks, I will record a grade, right? And I can tell you that this is a graduate level course. I'm typically not going to take points off for how many words you had or how many words you didn't have. So this is typically a place where people really engage with one another, and it's that missing link of us being able to be in a classroom learning together. So it's an important component, but it's not a place where you typically lose points for how many words you had or how many paragraphs or how many parts you responded to. So it's very open-ended. So I'm going to take a minute. I'm just going to share you a couple. I'll just show you some different formats that people have chosen, and sometimes that makes people feel a little bit better about the process itself. So you'll notice that this particular student, right, did a great job. They were put notes around what they were thinking before, during, and after reading the text, right? And you can see that they really took it apart by goals and the different strategy books, right? But really just sort of engaged with the text, even our, really short statements, short bulleted points. So this is one way that you could post your reading response. You'll notice in this post that this student was responding to a series of videos, right? And so really connecting to their style as a teacher, what was important to them, how they might engage in some of the strategies when they were in the classroom. So really some bulleted points, some paragraphs, some thoughts, right? And so you'll see that the styles were both received full credit, but are much different approaches to the assignment. And finally, a third structure. You'll notice that this student engaged in a type of notice and wonder structure, right? So noticed information, pulled quotes out of the text, really noted what page the information was from, and then really had some questions and was wondering, how that they would engage in that in their classroom, how they would use the standards to be able to support students in their classroom. So you'll see that the three approaches are very different, but all acceptable. So good luck with the first week. Navigate around the structure of the Blackboard, and please reach out to me if you have any questions. I will be setting up a Zoom sort of office hours so that if you want to meet with me or you have questions about the syllabus, and I can just take a few minutes to go over assignments with you. So be on the lookout for that email coming your way soon. Have a great week.